again, everybody. Welcome back. Today we are finally taking a look at the NECA Ninja Turtles concept Dark Leo. I don't know what else to call it other than concept. Basically, this is something that did not exist. It may exist, I think, in the comic books, but NECA's like, well, what if? That's what I should have called it. I should have called it What If. So what if this appeared in the old cartoon show? And this is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So right out of the box, we get his swords. We get this mace thingy that's kind of bent and whatnot. We get two sets of gripping hands. We get two sets of sort of open gripping hands with a little bit of a finger extending. We get an alternate head, a foot soldier head. And we get this thingy. We get our little lenticular image for the portal if you happen to have Donatello's portal, which I do. Whoop. Knock things around here. So that will just, he says, trying to do it on camera, which makes it kind of awkward. Get in there, and boom, now you have him coming out of the portal, kind of, sort of. Also, he's got that mace here, and in here it's like, flexible, like this should be like a rope that he can swing around, but it is not a bendy, and I definitely wouldn't recommend trying it. So, hey, let's get a good look at the figure's details directly. This is the head he comes on in the box. Nice bandana going around the mouth. Little mean look there. Got some Shredder-looking accoutrement. I love the spike belt with the metal chain coming off of it. Pretty cool. Nope. This thing. So we'll talk about this thing here in a minute. So he's got the little eye missile. More spikes going down the legs. Spiked shins. Here's the back of the figure. Very nicely painted and detailed. Yeah. So this thing, this tabs in here. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be glued in. And it's just not on mine. So every time I try to do anything with this figure, it just sort of pops off. I love that look too, by the way. The skin tone on this guy is very vintage toy Leonardo. Not the vintage toy, but hey, you've got a remastered here. You can kind of see that very similar darker skin tone. Also right here, he's got a foot symbol carved into his skin, which is kind of neat. So articulation on this guy is pretty much the standard you'd expect with a NECA Ninja Turtle. Head is on a ball joint. You do have a pivot right back here for the bandana. Due to the bandana itself hanging down, you do get a little bit of a limitation. We do have the standard universal joints at the shoulders, which are extremely tight. So it can go all the way around. We have the bicep swivel. We do have the double jointed elbows. We do have the hinges on the wrists as well as the swivels on the wrist. We do have universal, ball joints on the hips. We do not have a thigh swivel outside of just what you get from the ball. We do have extremely tight double jointed knees. And it's very hard to articulate these knees because them spikes are sharp. They are very sharp, and I have, in fact, hurt myself articulating this guy. We do have the standard up and down at the ankle, as well as the swivel pivot at the ankle. Now, one point of note is this shoulder here. So this pad on here is rigid, very, very solid, and it is glued in place to the actual joint up in there. So he does have, I don't know if you can see it here. You kind of can't because the belt's in the way, the shadow, but he does have that same universal joint that he has on this one, but you're not getting any articulation out of this shoulder outside of this because of that, which is kind of a shame. That does really limit his ability to get in some pretty cool action poses. So, of course, the hands just pop off just like any other NECA figure. Ooh, but I do recommend, if you're going to pop it off, you probably want to heat that up because these are very, very tight, and it does feel like they need to be heated in order to remove them. Same thing with the head. I think the head's a little bit easier to get off on this one. And you can just put that on in its place. There we go. Or, of course, as they sort of show here in the background art, you could put it on one of your other turtles to make them the evil version from another universe turtle. But yeah. Now the swords can just store on his back, just like you would expect them to, in a sort of 2012 sort of way, as they sort of all go off onto one side. You know, that does kind of remind me, in the 2012, the stealth armor that they did that one time. That's kind of reminds me a little bit of that. Anybody else excited for the NECA 2012 Turtles? I know I am. Now for a couple of comparisons. Here he is with the first NECA cartoon Leonardo, if I can get him to stand without a base. I know I don't have the other versions they did of these guys, sadly. Like, I was never able to find or pick up the Turtles in Disguise 4-pack, which had a little bit new articulation on them. But there is that. Here he is with our recently reviewed or looked at movie 1 Leonardo. Here he is with another dark turtle. Oh. With Donnie. And here he is with a remastered Leo. Get him to stand. There we go. You can see how those all stack up with each other. So yeah, all in all, I think this is a really cool figure, and I think it's a really cool idea, doing things that didn't exist in the cartoon as they would have existed in the cartoon if they ever got to that point. I do think that's a really, really cool idea, and I'd like to see, some more of that. Maybe some characters that appeared in other shows as they would have appeared in that old Fred Wolf cartoon style. I think that'd be really, really cool. I think he's a fun figure, but he is a very painful figure. Those spikes are no joke, and those joints being that tight make that even less of a joke. But I still highly recommend him. If you can find him, he is, of course, a Target exclusive. I would say pick him up. He's a lot of fun, and he's a cool item to have on your shelf. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. Y'all have a good one. Power Rangers join the